Hello everybody and welcome back to F1 22 with me, Dan, and the BMW Slothz team. And we're actually going to Monza today for the first time in the career mode. We've actually skipped it for the past couple of years. Well, part of that was because, of course, the second season had the same calendar as the first one by mistake. But anyway, over here in the power unit department, we're upgrading the exhaust again. It failed the first time, and we now have the worst power unit on the grid, which may explain our straight line speed, and of course that will cost us quite greatly here at Monza, considering that most of it is just a straight line or a slight deviation on a straight line. But we'll continue anyway. Hopefully our aero advantage over everyone else will assist us through the corners, and well, with our powerful DRS, maybe we can get some overtakes in anyway. So going through P2 now, we're picking up the last of the 180 points. Grab another 90 there. We're running out of upgrades that we can get discounts on. So really, we're clutching at whatever we can get here. And still no regulation changes have come up. So really, we should be trying to keep a few points back at this stage, just in case. Because, as you know, you can get right to the end of the season, have no points left, and not be able to actually buy any of your upgrades. We're going to roll the dice here, go for a 25% successful to get the points, but it doesn't work. And lastly, we'll go for the brakes here, which we also do not get. So then, it's down to the racetrack to see how we've been getting on in qualifying as we come to Monza for the first time in the career mode. Probably for the best, considering that in the first career mode season, we had the worst car on the grid, and I don't think it would have fared too well here, in all honesty. But yeah, don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell as I choke on something. So you know when the next videos are uploaded, and we'll get on with seeing how our car performs around this circuit, especially compared to some of the other cars like the McLaren and the Red Bull, which are particularly strong all over the place. Onto the starting grid, and it's Lando Norris and Fernando Alonso, those two McLarens at the front, separated by just 1600ths of a second. It's very close between those two. Following down for the rest of the grid, we have Max Verstappen alongside our teammates Carlos Sainz, Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton and Pierre Gasly, with Lance Stroll and Esteban Ocon rounding out the top 10. They're followed by Yuki Tsunoda and George Russell. We end up in P13 somehow alongside Oscar Piastri. Behind us, Kevin Magnussen, Alex Albon, Nicolas Latifi and Théo Pourchaire, Mick Schumacher, Robert Schwartzman, and finally Dan Ticktum, and right at the back is Zhou Guanyu. Well, down to the track then. I've grabbed myself a drink so I don't actually choke on something mid-race, right when all the action takes place, and barely any time at all to get through that opening statement there as the lights go out and we go powering down towards turn one. We've got both Hasses attacking us into turn one, but we cut across one of them up the inside of Russell and one of the Alpines. It's going to get a bit tight here as that is Esteban Ocon. I think, no, Lance Stroll hits the side of George Russell there through turn 1 and 2. And we managed to get past the pair of them, which is absolutely excellent. Into the top 10 we go. Which is even better on this opening lap because everyone kind of gets stuck behind each other. AlphaTauri and Pierre Gasly way up in the top 10 as Russell tries to take his position back. He does actually get it through Lesmo 1, going into Lesmo 2. Let's see if the Mercedes can defend in a straight line. ERS is open. No, it can't. So we're past George Russell again. And as I was saying up ahead, Pierre Gasly looking quite strong there at the bottom half of the top 10 after AlphaTauri have done a few upgrades and jumped up the performance graph recently. I think they may have gotten a spec-free facility and have chucked a load of upgrades on the car. And now look at where they are. As we come round, we're about to finish our first lap here, and we're sat behind Lewis Hamilton and Pierre Gasly. Up at the front, the two McLarens leading away nicely ahead of our teammate. who has to defend from Charles Leclerc. Can we make a move on Hamilton into turn 1 here? We're having a look down the inside, late on the brakes as we get past the 7-time world champion in his Ferrari, and that is that. He is well and truly behind us. Next up, former race winner here, Pierre Gasly, who is chasing down Sergio Perez, running on the medium tyre. He's obviously going for a long stint at the start and a nice sprint at the end. And thankfully, our teammate is actually doing a great job at bunching up these guys behind him right now, which will give us an opportunity now. Coming round Lesmo 1 into Lesmo 2 again. Can we make the same move that we did earlier on George Russell? Gasly's much closer than Russell was. We go to the right-hand side and we sail past the Ford AlphaTauri and come into Ascari fully ahead. Into P7 we go, and it's getting a little bunchy. We actually go wide there out of the exit of Ascari. We've got Gasly now coming back at us. Carlos Sainz now under attack from 3 different cars up ahead of us. He's actually lost a position already to Max Verstappen, and now we're going to come round onto the pit straight. I don't know if we're going to get DRS yet because it's a little bit too early, but now Carlos Sainz is having to defend against everybody. He's going to go to the right-hand side. He blocks Charles Leclerc from getting past us. We get past Sergio Perez, and late on the brakes, we're going to go side by side with our teammate into turn 1. Carlos Sainz there performing an absolutely incredible teammate manoeuvre, blocking multiple cars and slowing them down, allowing us to close up and get past. And he has retained P5. Let's go on board with us. Coming round the Parabolica, Charles Leclerc tries to get a good run on Sainz, doesn't. Tries to go to the right, can't go that way. Perez then gets boxed in the middle. Leclerc then gets blocked by Sainz, and we, with the, I guess, better runner at the final corner, go sailing past our teammate into turn 1, and we take the position away from him. The only one, of course, that managed to actually gain there was us and Max Verstappen. This is on board with Sergio Perez. That was Verstappen up ahead. He got past Sainz into Ascari, so that was where it all went wrong. And Perez now won't see us in his mirrors just yet, but he closes on Leclerc. Leclerc goes for a move on Sainz, but then gets blocked. Perez watches as Leclerc tries to get up the inside of Sainz, but I guess our car is much faster down the straights with the Ferrari. Perez then gets boxed in here, and there we go up the inside. There's a better look at Charles Leclerc getting squeezed out and blocked by Sainz, and then we go around the outside nicely, no contact made. Perez nearly gains there on our teammate, but wasn't able to make it stick. And within a lap, here we are on the back of Max Verstappen. The McLarens have decided to just race against each other and have driven off into the sunset, leaving poor Max Verstappen here vulnerable. He's going to go defensive, but it's not going to make any difference. We get past the Porsche Red Bull. He's going to try and fight into turn 1. That's dangerous, attempting that from us, but Max Verstappen did learn from his mistakes and has given us room through there, and we carry on up the road, trying to take on these two, Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris, as we come around the final corner. We're approaching pit stop windows, and yet we are the first to come in. Max Verstappen follows us, so at least we're not doing anything too out of the ordinary. Maybe he's got a good strategy for today's race as well. Hamilton and Gasly look as though they may have come in as well, and then just a whole multitude of other cars. Pit stop done nice and quick, and we are going to come out, I guess, at the back of the field because everyone else has come in. So we're behind Joe Guanyu, Théo Pourchaire and Nicolas Latifi, who sailed by just now. And we'll see where everyone else is as we come around the final corner. We've got a yellow flag up ahead. Théo Pourchaire is driving at 5 miles an hour in the middle of the circuit for no reason, blocking Nicolas Latifi and Joe Guanyu. There's nothing on track there that I can see. And we managed to jump up the field up into P5. We're now behind Lando Norris. I think Carlos Sainz is coming out of the pits. But we managed to close up quite nicely on the back of Norris. No idea what that was there. Let's go on board with Pourchaire. He goes around the outside of Latifi. There's a battle going on up ahead, and he just hits the brakes and goes slow. And I guess we must have timed it perfectly, because by the time we go flying by, there is a green flag up there. We go flying past, and he decides now's the time to react. This is on board with the battle that was ahead of Porsche. Robert Schwartzman, he's going past Charles Leclerc, or trying. A Haas that goes flying past him, going absolutely ballistic up the inside. So he loses a position to the Haas, but no contact at all. Unless it was these three coming into the pit lane that caused that yellow flag. I'm not really sure, but doesn't really matter. We're back on board with us. We've just set the fastest sector 1. That's nice to see. And we're chasing down Lando Norris. Fernando Alonso is yet to come in, but we've got DRS on his teammate. We're closing quite rapidly now towards Ascari. We look to the inside just to spook Norris. He does nearly take the bait there, but we go through, still behind him. Alonso is now in. I believe that must be Sergio Perez coming into the pits as well. Or no, going past because he is on the mediums. Esteban Ocon also started on the mediums, so he will be going long in this race. And now we're going to get a good run on Lando Norris. We get the fastest lap of the race. DRS open. There's Fernando Alonso. He's thread the needle between the two McLarens. The undercut working perfectly there to catch up to the pair of them, who had an enormous lead a few laps ago. And now they are sitting, staring at the back of a BMW as it goes on, hopefully to win this race. And we rejoin the action on lap 10, closing in on lap 11, just over 3 laps to go. We have a poor exit from Ascari, allows Lando Norris to come alongside us towards the Parabolica. He's already ahead of us. He swipes at us as we leave him a little bit too less room as we go along the straight, and he manages to get the move on us. But where was the DRS line? It doesn't matter anyway. We're going past him before we even get the DRS. Squeeze him over for that swipe that he made on us earlier on, and we retake P1 ahead of Lando Norris with 3 laps fully to complete. And we do keep our position through the braking zone as well. Rejoin again. Lando Norris trying to take the position away at the same part of the circuit. Goes to the inside this time. We sweep it around the outside. He's not ahead of us this time. No, he's still behind. So he will get the DRS, and it's going to be a competition now as he opens up his DRS. Which one of us is faster in a straight line? There's barely anything between us, but I think he is slowly pulling ahead there as we go into the braking zone, and Lando Norris does pick up a position, but we're fighting him through the chicane, and we manage to take a position away, oversteering into the DHL grass and lose a position to Fernando Alonso as well. So triumphant defense initially, but it all fell apart. We're going to try and retake P2 from Alonso in the second chicane. We do take it away. Alonso really got off the boil in the final stages of this season. I'm not really sure what's going on with him. Maybe he's just a little bit disheartened by Lando Norris outperforming him most of the time. But there we go. He's dropping back, and now we've got just over a lap. Oh my God, I just saw the helicopter almost like flying into the ground up there. Closing up for Ascari we go, but we're not quite that settled through that corner. Allows Alonso to close up, but also allows Norris to pull ahead slightly. Just 4 tenths separate us now as we come into the final corner. With just 1 lap to go, we're going to have to make this one count and try and stick there as long as possible. 100% defensive driving on the way. As we come down through the DRS, so we go round Lando Norris, no issues there on the overtake, and into turn 1 we go, and this is where the pressure will be on at its highest. Also for Norris though, because Fernando Alonso isn't too far behind him either, and they will both be pushing. Norris sticks to the back of our car. Of course, he did nearly win this race once upon a time when his teammate was Daniel Ricciardo, but not recently. We lock up into turn 3 or 4. I'm not sure what counts as a corner so far on this circuit. It's a little bit of a grey area. We come around Lesmo 1. We managed to pull out a little bit of a lead there. I wonder if our lock-up actually unsettled Lando Norris slightly. And now we'll be powering it down towards Ascari. He is closing in. We've had to save what's left of our ERS for the final straight. Through Ascari we go, trying to take as much curve as possible. Lando Norris closing it up to within a tenth now as we come flying down towards the final corner. He's right in the gearbox, goes to the inside. We're going to have to use up that ERS now, otherwise we don't stand a chance. We managed to stay ahead just about, and through the final corner we go, and by a fraction of a second, we're going to be able to pip him to the line here as he nearly takes us on the final stretch towards the finish line. Fernando Alonso nowhere near in the end to try and make a move, which is a little bit of a shame because that would have really mixed up the championship a bit. We pick up the driver of the day and we'll see those race results and the final standings in just a moment. But for now though, once again, another celebration for us. We're still awaiting our teammate to win a race, but hopefully that comes up sooner rather than later. And of course that does mean we get to see a ridiculous action onto the podium, surrounded by Italians who are no doubt pretty angry about this, and how he jumped onto the podium doing that weird dance. But anyway, we'll be getting on with the race results. And here we are then with the race results. Of course, as we know already, we picked up the win, but we also had the fastest lap by the end. Then we had Lando Norris and Fernando Alonso, Max Verstappen, Carlos Sainz finishing 5th, Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Perez, Pierre Gasly, Yuki Tsunoda, and Lance Stroll. So over in the Drivers' Championship, we do increase our lead now over Lando Norris, who takes away 2nd, and Fernando Alonso, who is close behind him in 3rd. Then we have Max Verstappen dropping to 4th, beside his teammate Sergio Perez. Then Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, Esteban Ocon, and Lance Stroll. Further down the order, we have George Russell, Pierre Gasly, Yuki Tsunoda, Kevin Magnussen, Dan Ticktum, Oscar Piastri, Alex Albon, Teo Pourchaire, Robert Schwartzman, Mick Schumacher, Zhou Guanyu, and Nicholas Latifi. And finally, over to the Constructors' Championship. We're closing in on McLaren, but they're still 36 points clear of Red Bull and 68 points clear of us in 3rd. Then we had Ferrari, Alpine, Mercedes, Ford AlphaTauri, Haas, Williams, Audi, and Aston Martin. And that's all for now. We'll catch you for the next race in COTA.